Welcome to my second lecture on the topic retaining wall. I am Vaishak C, Assistant Professor, Civil Engineering Department, Engineering College, Jalab. So we will continue from where we stopped in the last class. In last class we discussed about the types of the retaining wall, the earth pressure diagrams and modes of failures. Today we are going to discuss about the designing criteria, the proportioning rules and the structural behavior of a cantilever retaining wall. Design checklist. So while designing a cantilever retaining wall, we have to ensure that the chosen dimension is such that it satisfies the stability requirements as well as the stresses within the different components are within the allowable permissible limits. So the first thing regarding the choosing a dimension is the dimension or the proportioning should be done such that there is an adequate factor of safety against overturning as well as an adequate factor of safety against sliding. This can be ensured by properly choosing the initial proportion of the cantilever. By proportion I mean the dimension of the different elements in a cantilever, that means stem and the base slabs. Allowable soil bearing pressures are not exceeded. This means that the pressure exerted by the cantilever wall to the soil should not be exceeding the safe bearing capacity. One more thing to be noted here is that pressure should not be a tensile pressure, because the concrete is weak in tension, and when the tensile pressures exist, there is a chance of getting cracks. Stability requirements. So here we are going to design the cantilever retaining wall as per the provisions given in IS 456-2000, which is based on limit state of analysis. So the clause 20.1 and 20.2 of IS 456 states that the factor of safety against overturning and the factor of safety against sliding should be always greater than 1.4. The factor of safety against overturning can be written as the resisting moment divided by the overturning moment, and the factor of safety against sliding can be written as resisting force divided by sliding force. One thing to be noted at this point is that both the resisting moment and resisting force comes from the weight of the cantilever as well as the weight of the soil it retains. So these are actually a dead load. So, one more important point to be noted in clause 20.1 and 20.2 is that the code specifies that whenever the resisting force and the moments are caused due to the dead loads, these forces has to be factored by a reduction factor of 0.9 while calculating the factor of safety. Now let's see in detail how to do or how to find out factor of safety against overturning. So it is to be noted that the overturning moment is primarily caused by lateral earth pressure, and the restoring moment is caused by the moment due to weight of the wall, soil, and if any surcharges. Okay, so here we see a cantilever retaining wall which is supporting an inclined backfill. Here you can see a slightly modified pressure diagram wherein the pressure diagram is slightly inclined in the same angle as that of the inclination of the backfill. So it is to be noted that the pressure diagram is taken at the heel level again, and the total height up to the top is taken from the heel. Also you can see that the total pressure PA caused due to lateral earth pressure is also acting at an angle of theta, which is the same angle as the angle of the backfill, which means that PA has got two components, PA cos theta which is horizontal component and a PA sin theta which is a vertical component in the direction of W. So here when we are trying to calculate the overturning moment, it can be seen that the overturning moment is caused by the horizontal component of PA, which is PA cos theta, and it is acting at a height of h dash by 3. So if you calculate the moment about toe, the overturning moment will be read as PA cos theta into h dash by 3. And if you calculate the restoring moment MR about toe, it is mainly caused due to the weight as well as the vertical component of the PA, which means that MR is equal to W into L minus XW plus PA sin theta into L. So finally we can write overturning, factor safety against overturning should be 0.9 MR divided by MO, and this should be always greater than 1.4. If this check is not satisfied, we have to increase the MR, which means that we have to increase the W. This can be achieved by increasing the length of the heat slab, wherein we try to incorporate little bit higher value of W. Now let's see how to calculate factor of safety against sliding in detail. So here also the previous same example is taken. PA cos theta is acting horizontally, so it can be seen that the sliding is majorly contributed by this force, which is PA cos theta, which causes the cantilever to move towards left side. So this has to be resisted by the frictional force actually. So frictional force mainly arises due to the net reaction, so normal reaction. So frictional force, as you know, F is equal to mu into R, where mu is the coefficient of friction and R is the normal reaction, which is having the same value as that of the W. So the resisting force is actually here friction, which is F is equal to mu into R. Usually the mu varies between 0.35 to 0.6 for soils. So here also we can find that factor of safety against sliding can be written as 0.9 into F, which is our resisting force, divided by PA cos theta. This factor of safety should also be always greater than 1.4. It is important to note that the sliding check often fails. This is mainly due to high value of active earth pressure, which is the causing force for sliding. So in such cases it is almost always advantageous to use a shear key. So shear key is nothing but a deepened portion in a base slab. So shear case is usually provided just below the stem so that the reinforcement from the stem can continue to the shear key. And also what the shear key does is like it mobilizes some passive earth pressure. So this phi is nothing but the angle of shearing force. So what a shear key does is it mobilizes a soil in the left side of the soil of the cantilever, and this soil is actually pressed again. So this soil will exert a passive earth pressure. So this passive earth pressure can contribute to the resisting force here. So what we do is we have to draw a passive earth pressure diagram, and from this portion of this soil which is actually exerting a partial earth pressure. So the PP can be found out as the area of this total trapezium. So we calculate PP by this formula, and finally this PP can be added to F, which is actually the resisting force. The other methods of improving sliding check is by providing a dead man anchor, or by increasing the heel length, which again causes an increase in the total weight. Now the last check, which is actually check for bearing capacity. So it is important to note that our cantilever retaining wall is not a symmetric structure, and also the weight distribution is also not symmetric, which means that the total weight will not act exactly at the center of the wall. So the weight is always acting eccentrically, so which means that the reaction will also be slightly eccentric. Let's say that reaction is at a distance of E from the center of the cantilever retaining wall. So what this causes is actually we will not get a uniform pressure distribution at the base of the cantilever retaining wall, but there will be a trapezoidal pressure distribution with Q max and Q minimum. Okay, so we usually get Q max at toe and Q minimum at heel. So Q max can be calculated as R by B into 1 plus 6E by B, where E is nothing but eccentricity. Okay, so this eccentricity formula is given here. How to calculate eccentricity? First you have to find out x bar, and then from once you get x bar, you can get E as B by 2 minus x bar. Okay, so this Q max should always be less than or equal to the SBC of the side condition, and Q minimum should always be greater than 0. What this means that the pressure is always compressive. It cannot be any tensile force. If tensile force comes at the bottom of the footing, there is a chance of creating cracks. So in order to ensure that this condition, we have this rule that the E should be always less than B by 6. Okay, which means that the reaction should be lying between the middle 1/3 of the base.
Proportioning of cantilever retaining wall. In order to start the design and check for the stability of the cantilever retaining wall, it is required that there should be an initial proportion or dimension for the different elements of the cantilever retaining wall. So this is based on the principle that the vertical soil reaction R at the base of the slab should be lying with the front face of the stem. This ensures that there is a triangular base pressure distribution at the base of the slab. Okay, so in such a case, the width of the slab should be actually L is equal to 1.5 times x, where x is the length of the heat slab inclusive of stem thickness. And by calculation with derivation, we can find that x should be equal to square root of Ka by 3 times h, where h is the height of the soil retained and Ka is the active earth pressure coefficient. Okay, the thickness of the face slab may be taken as 8% of the total height of the wall plus surcharge, and but in nowhere less than 300 millimeters. Thickness of the stem can be taken slightly more than that of the base slab at the bottom, and it can be linearly tapering up to a minimum thickness of 200 millimeters at the top of the wall. Structural behavior. So when we finally find out all the loads on the cantilever retaining wall, it can be found out that the stem is subjected to only the load from horizontal load from the lateral earth pressure. Here we have an overburden pressure from the soil as well as surcharge, and toe, the overburden pressure from the toe side is usually neglected, and there is also a base pressure distribution at the bottom, which is usually trapezoidal or triangular, with higher value of Q max at toe and a lower value of Q minimum at heel. By analyzing this figure, we can find that all this stem, heel and toe is all a cantilever slab which is supported at this common junction, with the toe slab subjected to a net upward force, heel slab subjected to a net downward force, and stem slab subjected to a net horizontal force. So in that case, we can design each of these three elements as a cantilever slab, and the final deflection diagram will be as given in this dotted diagram. So that's it for today. In the next lecture, we'll continue with a design problem for cantilever retaining wall. Thank you.